All right, what's up, kids? Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a good Mother's Day. Hope you all were very nice to your moms and did nice things. I'm actually recording this on Mother's Day, so I'm giving myself about 10 minutes with you guys to talk about tornadoes and hurricanes. I wanted to try to honor the request of getting this stuff out on Sunday night, so I'm going to make this real quick for you and then get the assignment out for the week and then talk about the rest of the week and the rest of the unit. So what we're going to talk about today is the fun stuff, which is tornadoes and hurricanes. I find that my 14 years of teaching, everybody likes the destructive things. So it's not something to necessarily joke about, but it is. Tornadoes are cool and hurricanes are cool, but there is a lot of death and destruction they leave in their path. So I want to kind of talk about the science of both of those. So the first thing is a tornado is a violent rotating column of air extending from a thunderstorm to the ground. So a tornado is essentially a thunderstorm on steroids. And right here, you'll see a picture of a tornado and a thunderstorm. This is actually taken in Sedalia, Missouri. And I was actually oddly in that town for a wedding once. I found that picture after I realized I was in that town. My friend married someone from Missouri. And Missouri and a lot of the Oklahoma, Kansas, right? Dorothy is from Kansas, and why is she from Kansas? And associate a twister with that is because that is Tornado Alley, and the reason that Tornado Alley has so many tornadoes because it's where air masses meet, right? So where all these air masses meet, we have from the Gulf of Mexico. This warm, moist air meets this dry air from Canada and cool dry air, and it kind of mixes and it results in tornadoes. And the United States actually accounts for 75% of all the world's tornadoes, right? And we have tornadoes in every single state, even on Long Island, not big ones, but we have tornadoes touch down. When they hit water, those are called water spouts, right? And something that's associated with a tornado is an anvil cloud. And right here, you see a picture of an anvil cloud, kind of looks like an anvil, right? Where you kind of hammer out things on. You might have an anvil. Maybe dad has one in the shop, or they, cartoons, drop it on the coyote's head. That's an anvil. Um, if you look here, right, this is showing the annual average number of strong to violent tornadoes, and look at the numbers here, right? In Tornado Alley, that's where we have a high number of tornadoes, right? Here, New York, only have one about per year. My kids are making a visit before they have to go to bed. Red Assen, playing outside. So, yeah, right here we have Tornado Alley. Lots and lots of tornadoes here, not so much anywhere else. All right, another picture of a tornado. Oh, and before we move on, obviously we had a weird weather event yesterday, right? Some kind of snow and hail in May, right? It's been kind of cool temperature-wise in the beginning of May. A little bit of a polar vortex here, but that's the first time I think I've experienced any sort of snow-like precipitation. May kind of miserable, right? So I'm ready for warm weather. I hope you guys are too. So my suggestion is, if you like warmer weather, move to a lower latitude, right? Because I was definitely thinking about that yesterday. All right, so it's a quick video on tornadoes. I want you guys to watch. And the big thing about tornadoes and hurricanes is they're all low pressure systems, right? So super low pressure means bad weather. Low is lousy, right? And the lowest pressure a barometer will read is during either tornado or a hurricane. So a tornado has a smaller area, right, but much higher speeds, much more destruction, right? So you can be in a hurricane and you're gonna survive, right? A tornado, if you're in a tornado, it's not looking good for you, right? And the main cause of death in tornadoes just from impact, right? From objects that are in there. You see there's pictures of, I should put some on here. Maybe I'll do that in the Wednesday lesson of, you see a fork stabbed into a tree or 2x4 go through a tree, right? It's this stuff flying around. Any little thing becomes a projectile, can become a bullet. Whereas hurricanes are more wider, the speed is lower, but they cover such a larger area. Whereas a tornado only cover can cover anywhere from quarter, half mile to a mile. The largest one was 2.3 miles in Reno in 2013 in Oklahoma. But now we are getting into our hurricanes, and hurricanes is a large rotating storm with a high speed winds that form over warm waters in tropical areas. So that's important to know. The thing where hurricanes get their the power from is warm water, where tornado doesn't need to, it doesn't form over water as much, right? Oh, and the main, sorry, I'll go back on tornadoes. The main season for tornadoes is right now, is May and June. So you'll see a lot of things on the news, unfortunately, about tornadoes hitting areas. So right now is tornado time. It's May and June, whereas later on, we'll have more of hurricane season when we get into July, August, September, even October. That is hurricane season because the water is warmer, right? The water is cool right now, right? May, if you go to the beach, let's say you have a really hot day in May and you go to the beach, the water's going to be freezing, right? The water takes a longer time to heat up, and we're going to talk about that during the climate unit. But hurricanes, right? Tornado, the main form of death is impact and things like that. Hurricane, the main form of death is drowning, right? And it happens because we'll have storm surges, and that is the rising of the sea as a result of atmospheric pressure change and wind associated from the storms. Basically, sea levels rising, it's pushing in, and people don't leave or evacuate, and that results in deaths, right? It results in people drowning. So I'm going to talk about hurricanes a little bit, and specifically, we'll talk about Hurricane Sandy. So hurricanes take a certain path, they form over warm water, and they always kind of take this little turn. Right when they hit 30 degrees north, and this is from your reference tables, they hit our little wind belt here, the southwest wind belt, and they make a turn up, right? So here's Katrina, and you can see that went over here, hit Florida, and it got supercharged in the Gulf of Mexico. If you've ever gone swimming in the Gulf of Mexico, it's very, very warm. It's like bath water, and you can see that turn. Almost all hurricanes just take that turn. Once they hit about 30, which is right here, it makes that turn towards the northeast. That's because all weather goes towards the northeast, our latitude, right? There's a picture you can see down here of it. And right here is the strongest part of the hurricane. That is the eye wall, right? That's where the fastest speeds are. You could be inside the eye and it's perfect weather. You can look up and see blue skies, right? And people have done that. They gone through the worst part of a hurricane. They say, oh, it's over. They go outside. They're actually in the eye wall, inside the eye, and then another eye wall will pass. So the more defined an eye wall is, the stronger the hurricane. And a really cool website, whenever there's a hurricane or anything, go to windy.com. I'll share that as well. Windy.com is a really cool website. This is a picture of Hurricane Sandy right here, right, coming up. And this is the path. Now, the weird thing about Hurricane Sandy, I lost all my street cred when this happened in 2012. I saw the path, took that turn. I've never seen a hurricane make that left turn. I said, they kept saying it was going to do it. And I told my class, right before this happened, they knew a bad hurricane was coming. I said, I've never seen a hurricane take a turn like that. I've never seen it, but that's what they say they're doing. Like, I don't know if it's going to take as drastic as a turn as they say it's going to. Of course it did. So I lost my hurricane street cred in 2012 because it did. It had a high pressure center kind of over the Greenland area, and it made this left turn right towards New Jersey and Long Island. It caused a ton of destruction here in Long Island. And you might remember what you went through at that time, right? We're out of school for a week or so. I don't remember how long. We're out for at least a week, right? People were like fighting each other at gas stations, getting gas, out of power. And I was out of power for like 4 days. My parents out of power for a week. It was crazy, right? So, and here, and this is another little quick clip I want you to hit for hurricanes. So these are the questions, right, that I want you to answer. There are 15 questions. I'll post this in the chat as well, right? So a couple of things I want to touch on before I move on. The one big thing with kind of going back to the astronomy unit that has to do with Hurricane Sandy is it was a full moon during Hurricane Sandy, and that caused even more storm surge. You remember, full moon causes what type of tide? A spring tide, which means higher tide. So if you had a hurricane coming and it's going to new or full moon, you know it's going to be, the storm's going to be worse. If that would happen to be a first quarter or third quarter, the coastal flooding that happened that trashed places like Fire Island and a lot of the South Shore wouldn't have been as bad if it was a first quarter moon, or if it just wasn't a full moon or a new moon, right? So I think I basically hit it all on hurricanes and tornadoes. And remember, the one big thing, I know you're not taking a regents, but when it asks you what to do when you have a natural disaster coming, emergency evacuation plan for every natural disaster, because people mess things up. They go, oh, if it's a tsunami, I got to get my basement. That's a bad idea, right? So tornadoes, you want to get to a low-lying area. You get in a ditch, you get in your basement for a tornado. Hurricane, you don't want to get in your basement, right? Because especially if you're by the water or flooding, things like that. Hurricane, you want to obviously get away from the shore, right? You want to get away from interior windows and things like that. You board up your windows, and evacuate is always the best option for all these natural disasters. It's always a question on the regents. And the answer should be have an emergency evacuation plan if you forget, because we have volcanoes, we have earthquakes, we have all these things where people forget what the right thing to do is. So have an emergency evacuation plan. And that is it, guys. I think I hit it all. I'm looking over my questions, making sure I typed these, that I covered everything. But that's it. Look through your notes. I'll use this video. 15 questions. Let's be real with each other here. This is not a lot of work that I'm giving you every week. It's one assignment, so get it done by Friday. Right? No lates anymore. So get it done. Get it in. If you have any problems, hit me up before Friday. And I hope you guys are well, and hope you guys had a good Mother's Day and weekend, and you were nice to your mom. So I will see you guys on Wednesday.